Blessed be to all my little witchlings and wizards and magical folk out there. This is Dragon-esque4 coming at you with another magical tutorial. And today's tutorial I'm going to cover how a slightly more advanced method of my wand crafting one than my previous video. If you subscribe to me and look a couple spaces down there, you'll find the first video, but I'll cover it anyways in tonight's video. The difference being between what I'm doing now and before is this particular pattern for a wand is going to be a core exchangeable wand, where the first one really wasn't. The first one was more or less a solid base wand where you can't put anything in it really once you seal it up. And I did suggest in the first video that you use tape if you wanted to use put stuff in and out of it, which it's okay, but I came up with a better method. Okay, so today's project, you're going to need some paper or construction board. And I usually use construction board because of the fact it's a little sturdier. You're going to need to cut it to approximately 14 inches square, 12 to 14 inches depending on how long you want your wand. You're going to need a pencil, a scissors, some masking tape, a crystal which is optional, a front crystal which is optional, a water bottle, some paint of some kind. You could use either spray paints or you could use marker pens or brush paint, however you want to paint it. And I'm not actually going to show the painting process, but I'll tell you about it. And you're going to need some clear sealant if you do paint it. And you're going to need a hot glue gun with some hot glue sticks. I've already got mine plugged in, and I'm letting it warm up here while I start. Alright. First you're going to take your pencil at one corner of the square here, and you're going to start rolling it up. Okay, see how I'm rolling it into itself like this? And you want to do this all the way to the end. And once you get it started, you can usually take your pencil out. You don't need to glue it in there or anything. But you just need to keep rolling this all the way to the end. And the difference being, fast note, the difference being in wands, if you're using construction paper, you're going to get a really thick wand. If you use like a regular paper, but you can't really do this with the regular paper because the thing would be kind of small, but you could try it and see if it worked. But alright, so you want to roll this up and it'll form like a tapered cone. And then you need to kind of pull it around a little bit so it brings it down in size, because you don't want it quite that thick. So you just kind of pull it, keep trying to tighten it a little bit until you get it to the thickness, roughly the thickness you want, and it's going to be hard to move it, so it's going to be tricky to do. Alright, it's almost there. Now, while you're holding on to this, you're going to need some masking tape. Tape it off first, at least one time first, just so it won't unravel on you. Alright. Now, starting at the front end, take your masking tape, and again, like I did in the first video, you're going to tape it down at the tip and just go all the way around this tube with the masking tape. This will keep it in place. It'll make it sturdier too. And it doesn't have to be perfect. You know, as long as it's going to be together enough that it's not going to fall apart on you. Now you're going to come to your section where this is going to be a really thick wand, unfortunately, because this particular paper that I'm using is really thick. I use a fairly thick stock. You're going to have this thick fat end here. You want to cut that even, and maybe cut it down just a little bit to like a slightly less length. So just cut that remainder raggedy section off so it's nice and even. Alright. And you'll get this. You'll have the tube and the front end. Okay? Now, for your water bottle, take your water bottle. And this is going to make what we're going to use for the, so you can refill, change your cores out in what I'm trying to say. Take your water bottle, and you want one that's not like really thick plastic, you know. So you want like one of the thinner water bottles, maybe. You could use a soda bottle, but it's harder to cut through and it's harder to glue on. So I recommend a water bottle. And then you just want to cut off the end part. Okay. Remember, recycle your water bottles. And then you want to bring it down just a little bit. So take your scissors and cut around it like this. Because you don't need all that. And I'll recycle that later. So you just want like this much of your water bottle with the cap on it. Okay? Now, here's what we're going to do. This is going to be glued in place on the end like this. And I'm going to do that right now for you. So you can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to tilt this down. And I'm hot melt gluing the edges here. Okay. And this has got to go over the edge. Like so. Oops. Sorry. Trying to push it into place here. There we go. And be careful with the hot melt because the stuff can burn you. I'm used to working with it, so it doesn't really bother me too much anymore. My hands have gotten toughened up from use. Okay, and then I'm going to put a little around the edges here just to make sure, and you want to just kind of lock it in place by gluing over the plastic and onto the wand itself. And you try to hold it in place with one finger at the top of this so it doesn't tilt, because the hot melt actually starts to melt this plastic a little bit, so it's like it may have a tendency to misshape and then tilt. So you want to do is kind of hold it in place temporarily. Okay, it's almost there. Gotta put another glue stick in. Hold on. Hot melt glue, you always have to use a lot of sticks, unfortunately. It's like it just ran out of the stick here, so. Alright. Alright. I'm going to let it cool for a couple seconds so it hardens. Alright, now, it should be almost hard. Alright. Now, for this back end, here's the optional section. This is what you're going to open in order to put your ingredients in there and your cores and whatever in there. And you could, again, pull it out. And when you're filling your wand, don't put it in too far. Don't shove it in too far because it's going to be hard to get out unless it's something like a crystal or like something with weight to it. But like if you put like a feather in there or something, it might be a little hard to get out. So you might have to use like something to fish it out with. All right, so we're going to put a crystal on this end part right here. This is optional step. And again, try to lock it in place by going onto the base of the cap like that, and go slightly onto the crystal and go around it. So you're creating like a collar for it, I guess you would call it. Okay, so you'll have that, and it'll look like this. All right, now for this end here, which is again an optional move, you could either pinch it shut like that and then put like a dab of glue into the end if you want to. But in this case, because I'm probably going to make a third video, what I'm going to do is use this crystal. I'm going to cut this just a little bit. I'm going to put a slice in this, just a slight bit of a slice, because I'm going to make a third video on how to make an even more advanced wand, which will be a Lumos wand, but not in this video though. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to spread this apart like this, and I'm going to put the glue in here. But I'm gonna do that at a later step, so I'm not going to actually glue it in place right now, because on my video on how to make the Lumos wand, I'm going to have to show this. So for that, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this crystal, and you can get these at hobby shops. They're basically decorative crystals that go in vases. They have them in glass or plastic. The plastic ones aren't that expensive. And I'm going to just, when I do glue this, I'm going to glue this into the tip like this. And then I'm going to put like a LED light under this for my other video. And it'll act like a focusing crystal, and it'll focus the light out, and then you can create the Lumos effect. And again, that'll be on another video. And then for the decorative part of this, you just want to take your hot melt gun and just start doing whatever pattern you want on your wand with the hot melt. Okay, so I'm just going to do some swirls. A couple swirls on this side. Okay, and I'm going to let that harden. And then what you're going to do is you're going to paint it somehow. And you can like spray paint it, so you would give it a couple coats of spray paint, usually about 3 coats, or you could use like markers or however you want to paint this. And then I do recommend that you get a clear coat sealer. It'll be clear, and then go over it so the paint won't smudge and whatever when you're using your wand. Now, you may need to neaten it up a little bit and pull off the strands of hot melt that are maybe sticking out. Like occasionally, like hot melt, you'll get this goopy strand stuff every so often. And once it's dry, pull that, and dry and cool so you don't burn yourself. And then you see, and then you'll have that, and then I'll show you a real quick example of what it'll look like when it's done. Alright, when you get it all painted and everything, you'll have like this example here. I've got the crystal in the end, and you paint basically over you do your base coat first of whatever color you want your wand to be first, and then you would paint over the hot melt glue patterns with your secondary paint with a paintbrush. And then you would usually just skim over the edge, with the paintbrush, so you're not going into real deep into the section. And on this example here, I've got a crystal in the middle, and then I've got the crystal on the end. And again, the crystal on the end for my next video will end up looking like a Lumos wand, and I'll show you the Lumos wand. And then you see that lights up like that. But it's the same premise. I got the battery pack on the Lumos wand in here, and on this wand here, it opens on the back too. And you see that's how you use you can refill it. So you have your cap from your water bottle, and you can open it up, put in your stuff, seal it back up. And then when you're finished, and if you ever want to change it out, you just open it up, pull the stuff out, and put whatever you want back in there. And that's how you make your resealable wand. See? Like this one here. It opens up. Now you see the difference in the size. If you use a paper one, you could do it, but you're probably going to have to go cut a little bit longer on the plastic, and then let it melt down and kind of force it down onto the wand. It'll be a lot harder to do it that way, but you can do it that way if you want to. And that's how you make a core exchanger wand. And I hope you enjoyed that, and stay tuned, and I'll try to talk you through how to do a Lumos wand for my next wand video. Bye.